Welcome to today's fitting, here with Dan Owen, long-term friend of Precision Golf, editor of Golf Retailing and golf editor at Golf News.
Well remember.
Have I got that right? Yeah. Kept to the script. So, you know, Dan's with us before. There'll be other videos that you might have seen with Dan before. So there's a font of useless knowledge going back and forth between Dan and I on clubs. Dan's hit probably more clubs than I ever have. I would say.
No,
pretty close.
Definitely not more shafts.
Yeah, maybe not shafts. Yeah. But so Fairway Wood focus today. So what's the main MO today?
More distance, more height. I need just playing some golf in the States earlier in the year. I'm not the longest hitter. Suddenly you need to carry the ball over 200 yards over water. You need to get a bit more out of it than I've got in the bag. I've got a 3-wood that was going too low. I've played about with the loft a little bit, so I've lofted it up from I think 13.75 to 15.75. But let's see if there's something actually that's better than me just playing around with the tool.
I can say here we can get away scuttling on down a fairway because it's rare, unless you go and play a couple of courses where flight and carry distance is key. And it's a very, very different game in the US. So
totally different. And I've got an interest in Fujikura and graphite design shafts potentially, but I know you've got the whole shebang.
We'll have the whole kit and caboodle, but we'll see where we go.
Yeah.
And let's see if we can fit you with a rocket.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
A rocket with butterfly wings.
Righty-hoo. So let's get a benchmark with.
So, like as I said, this was
Orient
definitely the best shaft they had.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's the best shaft.
Yeah. Look, the Ventus Blue series is a great product. Very stable in the tip. Designed for low spin. You're not overly pointed in terms of balance point either. And so when you first had it, it was lofted right. Was it minimum loft?
I think no. It's 180 degrees from that, isn't it? So it would have been small minus. Small minus. Is it small minus?
Yes. Yeah. Small minus and flatter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's no good.
And generally, kind of shot pattern with it has there been a, if you've had a, like for example, would a slight pull be a miss or?
It's been more leaky to the right.
Okay.
A bit like that. So that's why one of the other reasons we looked at changing the face angle of fraction. But it's hard. The 3-wood is the hardest club arguably to hit because you hit it so little.
Yes, and longest club you're going to hit with the least loft off the ground.
And I find less and less do I ever think about using it off a tee.
Yeah. Well, either going for driver. I mean, there are certain courses where a strategy comes into play, but it's either make sure it's in play or send it.
That's better.
Working on anything swing-wise at the moment?
No, I know I've heard on the video Stuart not liking the speed sticks, but I've got some speed sticks I want to play about with. Again, it's even been too wet in the garden to go out and do them half the time.
Use the ground, slip over, break your face. Yeah.
And that's it. My swing is all upper body. There's no power. I need to get some power from the bottom half. However, I've swung the club the same way since I was a kid. So it's quite hard to try and...
it's a complete pull apart.
But especially with not having the time to really go for it.
Would, from a strike point of view, has not heavy but kind of a little bit into the ground been the miss? Like fractionally, or not noticeably one way or other? Not
noticeably. I'd say if the opposite, because if anything, I'm often on the more shallow side.
Yeah.
So it's more, I'd say it's more worry, it's almost on the way back up.
Yeah.
But again, it is slightly different off the ground outside to in here.
sort of one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, flight is, the picture flight's in a nice place. You know, if you take where that one was in particular, I think it was, you know, first one, that one, you're kind of around the 14.5 degree launch, and they're low 3s in spin. So the picture flight's in a good place. Yeah. There is more ball speed to be had. You know, so the smash is a little bit low. So you know, that one that was one of the stronger hits, first one was one of the stronger hits, you're 142, 143 from an efficiency point of view. You know, 126 mile an hour ball speed from an 89 club speed. So we should be able to get another 4 or 5 miles an hour.
I see a different number that if I can see something over 200 carry, that is the number. Yeah. Because I know that will run out, but yeah. 200 is a decent number when you need it.
If we get proportionate ball speed, and nothing else, then that does that. If there's another 3 or 4 miles an hour ball speed, that's 7 or 8 yards. Certainly 5 to 8 yards for sure, if nothing else changes. And to me, it just looks like it's just a little bit of, it's not far off for sure. It's just a little bit of tidying up timing. By the looks of it, to me, if we can get the handle just slightly more ahead of you, it's just getting a little bit back hip, which then leads to that potentially where I could see it as, you could go to one of two ways. It could lead to a little bit of a bump into the back of it, or as you say, coming out of it and thinning it a little bit. Certainly kind of pulling the handle at it and potentially that little bit of a leak. But if we can get that a little bit out in front of you so the low point moves forward a fraction, then you're getting ball into turf. That should just pop that little bit of efficiency on it. Because, you know, face to path, you know, very, very, very stable. If we look at the averages on those, you know, it's neutral to slightly closing, but there's not one that's open, so it's not like it's a weak impact position. Yeah. But if we can just bind it together a little bit more, there should be just that little bit extra pop.
And I think generally on the course, like everything on here is slightly left. I think on the course I got a bit of a right aim.
Yeah. I think some of that with where the screen's not quite moving, you're naturally going to tend towards where it comes out on screen. But you know, we'll focus on the face to path number from a shaping point of view, I think in particular. But so it's close. What I'll do is I'll use that head to start with, and see what we can do. So, because it's giving you a good trajectory, let's see what we can do with that. If we can just by changing it, I mean, it's lightish on swing weight, C7, so it's fairly light on swing weight.
Okay, that's.
It's 42.5, so going a little bit shorter on length, that'll pull the swing weight down without making it necessarily feel that much lighter. That'll pull the swing rate down a little bit, but that again could also be where it's letting you just flip a little bit or not quite taking you through the ball. Might lose just a little bit of momentum into the back of the ball as well. So just got to get the screw out of here so I can, there we go, make sure I don't drop the washer into the head. That's always a good one. Okay.
But yeah, I've brought, because of the various jobs I've got, there's a couple other free woods to play about with as well if you think they're going to be.
Yeah, I will use this as a marker base just because that's really the start point for it. And then so I'll tweak balance a little bit, the dead weight a little bit. So I'll try and take, we're at 74.5 grams on the Ventus. I'll just try and bring it down a few grams. So ideally, was it Fujikura and Graphite Design? Ideally.
Yeah, all of them, but they're just,
just want to lose a couple of grams. Just take that. Just make fine tunes to weighting, really. If I make sure I picked up the fairway length. So it's going to start focusing on weight, see how that affects the timing and the balance. Let's check out which screw length for this. Right.
how have you found the new Ventus Blue? Is there a huge difference?
I find it a little lower spin. I think it's, so I found it to, I feel it's a little bit more responsive through the midsection, but I've been impressed with how low spin it's been. So a little bit, yeah, a little bit. Just gonna make sure you don't let the swing rate get too heavy. I mean, the thing is, you're trying to improve a thoroughbred, and I've seen a little bit, definitely seen a little bit of improvement. So this one's about a few grams lighter, very, very even balance through.
It's interesting, there's so much Ventus play on tour, you don't see the other models so much anymore.
No, it's pretty much.
But this is as expensive, isn't it? It's a
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean the Speeder NX. I mean it's a top end Speeder shaft. It's probably, as you say, I think Ventus have got so much confidence from the tour players that they're all. They tend, you saw it with the Spider putter, yeah. Dustin and Jason Day using it, they started winning, everyone went to it. But I think it's backed up by just being a really consistent product. Okay, little gain in ball speed. Starting to move the right way. Interesting, club speed's up. Efficiency's still, so it gained a little bit in ball speed, but more because of club speed so far. I'll watch one more of that.
And the other factor as well, I'm open to trying different golf balls. So right. We've not talked about golf ball.
Yeah.
Titleist had me in Titleist like me in AVX. I know that's quite low spin.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's worth. I mean the other one. I mean the ones that have actively tried to get a bit more speed. Callaway and TaylorMade. That's a nice one. Okay, there's some ball speed. Now we're over 130. Again, efficiency's still not quite there, but the ball speeds, swing speed, ball speed's starting to move up. So dropping a bit of weight allows you just to keep going through the swing a bit more and collect it.
Well, that's a good club speed as well, because I know that's more like my driver club speed, so that's quite nice to see.
That's a good start. I'm going to take it a little bit lighter just to push that slightly further.
And that was, I suppose, another question I had. Do you fit many sort of 60-ish gram fairway wood shafts?
It depends on the swing. Yeah, I mean more so now than we ever have. But I think
just where everything else has got lighter. And
more players are. I think where we're now seeing proportionally more, what you might call kind of average golfers rather than the low handicappers. You're more kind of, I guess, moderate golfer is now deciding that they like to get fitted. So we're seeing more lighter weights. I mean, you look at the long drive guys using very lightweight now. Now their swings are different, so that's not necessarily a direct kind of comparison. But yeah, I think now the focus is less on I want to play stiff for control or stuff. It's more a case of you matching up the way someone moves. So more players need a lighter weight than and certainly more almost understanding of not having to play heavy and stiff. They just play what works. But I think seeing more kind of mid to high handicappers, you're inevitably going to see more slightly lighter weight shafts in the fairways. But on tour, they're using 60 gram driver shafts versus 70 and 80 that they were not that long ago. So the focus now on speed rather than bravado, I think. I don't know, I'm taking that back. We definitely want to keep that. So I'll take it down only a few grams, like 68, something like that. So get this, I might whip round the corner and get another one, but this takes us just under 70 grams. Again, for Dan, very neutral balance, so far anyway. Who knows where we'll end up. It won't be anything heavily tip weighted, that's for sure. Let's put a washer on that. Just with the screw depth finder washer. So you've been travelling a lot this year? more than normal? Or?
No, not so much. It's been quite quiet. There was the PGA show in January, which was really good. It was quite busy this year, I felt, especially in the apparel hall rather than the hardware hall, which I'm guessing when you go there you don't get up to, but there was a real buzz up that end this year. Some newer brands like Malbon had a big stand for the first time.
Well, yeah, I mean that what happened with Jason Day at the Masters. It couldn't be better advertising for them.
I think Adidas were back for the first time in a couple of years. So that side was good. Yeah, demo day was quite quiet, I thought, this year.
It was, yeah. Yeah, definitely. It felt there were gaps out on the range for sure. This one's got, see how this is, it's got a slightly bigger grip on. I can switch that out if that feels prohibitive.
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah. It's been interesting, this one. It's been a very consistent performer, this one.
Oh, that was a bad shot.
That doesn't look like it's quite there for you. It looks like you're having to find the ball a little bit, whereas the other one looked like it would have just think, yeah. So we're starting to see now that move off right, which we didn't see with the other. So, okay. Let's make that off. I'm going to go back into this one, just take that dead weight back up a little bit.
So yeah, I did hit a Smoke Max with a DI7 stiff that felt really good recently.
Okay. Yeah, because the DI is going to be up again 76, 77. So the Smoke Max have been I mean, that'll certainly be a head we look at, but that's been a really strong performer. I think because it gives a bit of launch without popping the spin up, it's been very efficient. It's better ball speeding. Yeah, so no, we drop below 70 grams, you lose the club, lose the contact.
Interesting.
So back up at 131 ball speed straight away, going back up just over 70 grams. A little more left. Interesting. It's interesting because club speed was the same, but that looked like a slightly more committed swing.
Okay.
Like it just didn't. I watched one where it looked like it didn't quite stay with you as well for that. Then that looked nice. Touch lower on the face?
Little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna. We're still, even on the best hits, we're still topping out at a deficiency of 144. So I'm interested to get another head on.
Yeah.
See whether we can just get that little bit more ball speed, because that's.
Well, that carry's gone over 200. I know.
For that contact.
Yeah.
We should be getting a little bit more.
Okay.
But even that one with more of a forward spin, over 200. That one's closer, but it's still a bit less efficient than some of the flights we've had.
Launch, does the launch seem okay? Would you?
In an ideal world, especially for the role you want it for, if we can get it more like 13.5 and low threes, then you're getting the flight from the launch angle, and then the spin just means it doesn't stall.
Okay.
Now, it's not like you're very consistently, you're on average 1.5 degrees down, a couple of degrees down, so you're not de-lofting heavily.
No.
So if the head style's right, we should see that pick up. But for that kind of job description, essentially, the Callaway this year would absolute 100% be the first one I go to. It's been very, very good for that.
So the other ones I've brought with me are both the ping heads and the TSR2 Plus.
Yeah,
probably a bit more forward.
The TSRs aren't TSR1 launches, but then it's a little bit weaker flight wise. The TSR2s are good, but they're not a head that gets it up quick. The Ping and the Callaway have been the two best for that. So in principle, certainly from, I'm expecting to see, hoping to see the ball speed from a representative strike just jump up a little bit. This is going to swing just a fraction heavier in the head.
And how's that face set?
This is in neutral. NS. Yep.
That was very slappy. Yeah.
I think I preferred the way the speeder swung. Just with that one, looks like you had to, even with the other head, looked like you had to just work a little bit harder.
Okay.
A little bit. It's fractional, but getting the face squared up, but just looking like you're having to get the club to the ball a little bit more.
I found these really interesting, these woods, because obviously the sole's quite different. From address, they look like the ERC Fusion from 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, with that composite weave.
Yeah. Toey. That was not good.
Where was the strike on that? Pretty good. So flight's in a great place. Interesting, we're still sat that little bit lower on ball speed. Okay, let me get another shaft. Maybe I'll come back to that. I mean, so it's got the launch angle up and kept the spin down. So, from that standpoint, the head's done what we'd hoped it would do from that bit. It's still a little bit off on ball speed for what I'd like to get. Let me put this one away because we're definitely not going with that. Let's go with that red. Just the dead weight's in a really nice place. So I don't want to lose the bottom half of the club. The other one.
Well, I wanted these gapped. So what it was, I've got these done for.
Take these two. I think interested to see how that just red swings.
Oh, that's a bad swing. All right, concentrate. The only other thing I would say about this is it looks shut at address.
Okay.
Where even though the PXG had been lofted up, it looked squarer. Thin.
Okay, yeah. I'll see one more before I switch it out.
Is the weight more up this end on this one?
Swing rate's just dropped off a little bit. So okay, got plenty of launch, good club speed, but it's just potentially starting to pop it a little bit, and has that look of just picking through slightly. Okay, yeah, I'll get that new blue.
How are you finding the experience so far?
Even better than the first time I came, which was in the old site. No, it's I've been coming since probably your first year of opening in the old site, and it just amazes me every time how it improves every time. So when they reopened here, was that, no, it wasn't last year when you redid it.
Couple of years
was it
back.
Like 2 years
Yeah.
back? Six fitting bays, is it now? 2 more bays upstairs, putter studio.
Yeah, there were 3. We've currently stripped it back to 2 that side, but yeah, there's a couple of coaching bays upstairs.
Bays upstairs, the putting studio, the gym. There's nowhere else like it. Definitely in the UK, probably in the Europe. Not even sure there's anywhere with the same facilities in the world that isn't attached to one of the OEMs.
Yeah, you've got like TPI, Touch
Yeah,
Performance
but
is
they're all-
probably one of the only, yeah.
There's nothing quite like this.
Oh, that's scary, isn't it? It's like it's back slightly heavier, but interesting to see, again, like we did when we went a bit lighter previously, just going back up a little bit in weight. Now we're starting to get a few more reps under our belt. Does that help a little bit? 133, so yeah. Okay.
That felt a little bit bottom edge as
Yeah,
well.
I was going to say a little bottomy, but a little more efficiency. That's moving better. Okay.
So that's a bit of a jump finally.
Yeah, that's now the consistency of those ball speeds are 131, 132. Just fade, was that slightly heel side? A little bit, just pop the spin a little bit.
But it's still carrying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still carrying
Previous
over what
one,
we started at.
206.
Yeah.
The slight miss, 201, 202. The first one, 205,
Club
and then
speed's
good
gone
hit,
up.
but a little bit spinny. So, you know, there's still potential to get a little bit more from it as well. So, okay.
But that club speed has not crept up over 92, I don't think, before.
Yeah, let's have a look at the summaries on those. You can see we're at 92.5 there, and previous couple 90.3, 90.4. If I take any, not going to sugarcoat, we take any funky contacts off just from a ball speed point of view, but you know, we're then from 128.9 on average to 132 on average, but you've got a couple of miles an hour more club speed, and a hint more efficiency. So that's definitely a step in the right direction. That and very stable dispersion as well. Okay. I think from a spin. Let me just test the ping. Let me get the ping head. I'll actually get the LS just to see. So this should keep spin down a little bit more, but we shall see. Slight pull, but good ball speed. Okay. I know it's just turned over, so it lofted down a bit, but that's the best efficiency, best ball speed, best
it felt
carry.
a great strike.
Just knocked the flight down a little bit where it just turned the face over slightly, but that started to get that efficiency, that smash jump that we're ideally wanting.
Although it's LST, it doesn't look tiny.
No, yeah. It's not that different from the Max.
That should be the best shot of it today.
Yeah, and then that one's still not as efficient as the last one, but we're now at that 14 launch, just under 3.1 on spin, so it's a great carry flight without losing a bit of yardage when it lands as well. I mean, so
it's longer
from a
overall.
height point of view, you're 84 feet. Without it having to be a spinny flight to hold it up there. That's a really going, upper mid launch going ball flight. just dragged
Feels
it
like
a
I'm
little,
striking
but
more
that's
consistently.
gone. Yeah, 209, yeah. So just turned it over a little bit, but as you're gaining a bit of trust and confidence with it, the numbers are getting, the shot strength is getting better and better. So you've gone from 207, 208, 209 carry, it's just creeping up and up. Okay, yes, just turned over a little bit, but actually in terms of results on flight performance and distance performance that we're looking for, that's great. It's possibly, and this is easy to amend in a bill, like the miss is still 203. It's probably a little bit head heavy, fractionally.
Okay.
And I think that's where it's just getting a little bit rolled as you come through.
The one other thing is, I think less so than the Callaway, it just looks a fraction shut, and I don't know if that's because we're using the adapter, maybe.
Possibly, because you've got the flatter setting that you can put it into.
But you can see
Just be slightly that line that comes out from there as well. It sits it forward a little bit. But with the kind of flights you're getting, there's, depending on where you see it on course, you could still afford to lose a little bit of height. Without those ones like that one up there, 14 launch, 3000 spin. I mean, you could afford to drop half a degree and not really lose out too much.
As I said, it was about.
But the flatter lie setting will probably be the way forward on that.
Trying to get over 200 yards carry, and then we've smashed that.
Easily there, yeah. And there's still a little bit in the tank. I think there's still another 4 or 5 yards to come out of that. If we can get that flight at 14 launch, 3000 spin, you're 134 ball speed, then you're over 210. Commercial. Let me just put that speed array next in that head.
Okay.
And actually, even obviously I've got my kind of mind on what you said about Fujiko graphite design. However, even if that wasn't the case, I'd still be looking at the same few shafts.
Yeah.
So I'm not going there just because it's, it helps, but actually I'll be going there anyway on these shafts. Yeah, I think the Velocore Plus series swings, particularly in a fairway, it swings a little bit lighter than the original version. I think the original series swings just a little bit heavier proportionally than the Velocore Plus.
That felt good.
A little interesting. That one took more spin off. Interested to see one more with that, but.
Oh, that's one of the worst swings for a long time. The other thing, and we've had this conversation before, people just aren't realistic how far they hit the ball and how far they carry the ball. And launch monitors are an absolute eye-opener.
Yeah. I've noticed that change though this last year and a half or so, whether it's with a Garmin watch or a rangefinder or being used to being on some of the launch monitors. I've seen much more realistic opinions on distances in the bay than I ever have before. And the amount of times I've now persuaded people they hit it further than they think they are, not they're hitting it shorter than they think they are.
Yeah, okay.
Noticeable difference, which does make life easier. It's not quite there for you. The other one's just got a little bit more there.
Strike's not as good.
Yeah.
Felt higher on the face?
Yeah, I'd say it just looks like it's just getting away from you a little bit through the ball, whereas the Velocore Plus is a little bit more with you, would be the best description, I think.
It's a good looking head.
Yeah, and whilst it's a low spin head, it's not a low launching head. So it's no bones about it. In terms of, you know, you have one of these heads already. If someone doesn't, it's blooming dear.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's because it's titanium, it's driver cost. So that can make it prohibitive, but you know, it has performed well. You know.
And if you swap that out for the Max, what would you expect to see?
The spin would be up a good few hundred revs. So as a fly it to a green, stop it, but then we'd be back where the Callaway was as well. But as a fly it to the green and have it land a bit softer, then that would work. But then to get the spin down, you then have to turn the loft right down, and then do you lose some of the launch benefit of having the 15-degree loft? Whereas, you know, with this, I think we can keep both elements, to keep the spin in a really strong window, but also keep the launch up. Yeah, it's just straight away gone. 211.
Easy game.
Yeah, it can be occasionally. A lovely periods.
So what's that? About 15 yards through the air.
So, and it's probably to be fairest to yours, I'll put it back together. But yeah, looking at, you know, that's up at 210. The best one, grind over the first few swings. We got 197. But it's you can hear the consistency of that contact. Yeah. So that one had a bit less spin. Was that slightly?
Toe side?
Maybe just a hair. But yeah, you're 197, 126.5 ball speed was the best we had, and you got your 90-mile-an-hour club speed with it. I'll put it back together just because now we've hit more shots, properly. Yeah, you could argue properly loosened up.
Supposed to make it fair, put it to neutral as well.
Again, just make sure I don't knock the washer down into the chamber of the head and create a child's toy.
The one thing where the PXG is nice, not that I use it off a tee much, it has a little bit deeper face, which is quite nice.
Okay. So it's almost like a normalised going back to your current one. I mean, as a kind of a marker on it, that LST combination average carry 207.
Yeah.
13.8 launch, 2.8 spin, so not on a silly ball flight. So that was hit well. So yeah, to be fair, this has got a little bit more, a little bit more ball speed. We're warmed up. That's then. It's not as high launch, so it is a lower launch. So speed-wise, you're quicker than you think.
Oh, that was heavy. Yeah, that was
see
no
where
good.
the height was. The previous one. So the previous one, which was that was up at 133 ball speed. That's up there with the LST. 70 feet of height. So if we take a comparable shot, I'll pick the, there's one. You know, let's take that one there. 80 feet of height. You know, so that's certainly one where, you know, that last one a bit less spin, so that was up, but then, yeah, that flight there, 84 feet of height. So, you know, the launch angle with that one well hit, that previous shot was at 12 degrees. We're at 14 with the ping. So that's where, you know, as we said, it's not far off this. It's the next generation of that shaft.
Yeah.
In a head that's the same loft. Like that's hit well. We're down at, so those shots, very, very similar in terms of flight, but it's the launch angle. Launch angle's the big difference. 12.5 launch with those two. Spins in a good window, but if you don't quite get it, it's squirting out a little bit lower. With the ping, it's, and even if I isolate, I'm gonna, let's take solid hit, just I want to give, scroll back up. It's not, so I'm not trying to sugar, but we take comparable comparable hits with both of them. If this is going to behave itself, yeah. Okay, that came out a bit flatter. So you're looking at 13.9 launch, 2.8 on spin, 12.2, 2.9. So actually, because of the ball speed being good, the carry's there.
Yeah.
But if I put...
But the longest is still... I know longest isn't the only thing to look at. The longest is still the ping, isn't it?
That you're at 71 feet on height versus 80 feet on height. So you're picking up, and that's with a low one in there. If I'm, if I do the same thing and take that low one out, you're at over 80 feet in height versus just about creeping over 70. So picking up 3 or 4 yards of flight height.
And hit one more with the ping.
Which then probably, ultimately, from a confidence point of view, you're seeing flight a little bit more. And so that is a very solid fairway wood. But as you described it, over here, that's fine. Over in the US, where it's a through the air game, that gives you an extra dimension on flight.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's because I'm not the longest of hitter, I probably have to hit this more than other people might. So if I know that's going to carry 2.8, 2.9, 2.10, that's a big jump.
Yeah,
that's a huge jump.
Yeah, and you'd say your best ones here are in that kind of region, but you're having to absolutely get it to get that. Otherwise, we're back at 200.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, up over 13 degrees of launch, 210. So actually, if anything, with that looking like you could afford to loft it up slightly. And
just feel like this shaft, I swing it more consistently.
Little bit.
They're so similar, but
just that little bit easier through the ball. Let's take that loft up a fraction. I mean, so looking at that flight, the 2 last shots where they've come out a little bit lower spin.
Yeah.
That gives you the facility to take the loft up a bit more, see even more height, make the carry even more doable.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's another couple of, actually on a flight which might restrict carry a little bit, couple of yards of carry, but it allows us to take that flight even further and see even more of it. Yeah.
But it's interesting as well how much it jumps over the Callaway.
Yeah.
Which shows not every club is for every golfer.
No, and it's such small nuances with woodheads now. We've seen it with hybrids for a number of years. Drivers have got more and more that way as they've moved more and more mass around the head and further away from the face. And we're seeing certain head styles, like I can't use a heavily back-weighted driver because I roll the face. It then opens up in transition more and I spoon it right and then I flip it. So the weight forward or a more compact head, because of the way I deliver the club, means I'm more in control of it. And fairway wood's now getting more and more exaggerated and set up as well. So let's just take this up a little bit. So at least with the ping sleeve, we can use the flatter setting to keep it visually a little less shut. Let's just loft it up a touch. Let's just see where that takes us. But it's interesting, you're having hit the PXG, hit that well, gone back to it. Just a marginal, just a little cleaner.
There's still a little bit.
A little cleaner. There's that little bit more launch. I'm intrigued with the numbers we're getting off this. Let me get the max. I'm just intrigued to see where that takes it. Because the spins, the better you're hitting it, the spin's just starting to tail down a little bit. So just to see if that just keeps it up a little bit more. So I mean, potentially, because Dan's got both heads, they could be set up so that the heads could be interchangeable. So let's see if we can give an alternative on pitch of flight. So in terms of setup, it's lengthwise we're 1/4 inch longer than that one is. So this one's 42.5. So it's almost sort of forward length. We'll do a lot of fairways at that length. This one's 42 3/4 currently. but at C9, so it's still slightly heavier on swing weight, slightly, kind of proportionally half, 3/4 of a point heavier.
Last year you wanted me in something like a D0 driver. And
Yeah, so
work
ties
up from there.
pretty closely into that. Yeah, so in terms of head, so it's not vastly different. You know, the LS, which is this head here, is not particularly deeper. It's mainly construction, which affects the launch and spin materials used.
And have these been a popular Fairway Wood?
Yeah, I mean the pings have always. I think that shallower profile, the fact that it's a really nice, the club finds its seating really cleanly. Same with the Callaway. Those have been very popular for being that little shallower and just very naturally sit behind the ball.
Well, I remember when the tight lights came out and the Olimars, and they were low profile and they worked for a reason.
Who knew? God, what am I? Yeah. Jim Furyk used those when he won his US Open, I think.
I always like the idea of trying a 9 degree as a free wood, because it was still as shallow.
Yeah.
Neither of those have been struck anywhere near as well.
Interesting. I mean, that one faced a bit open, but that one popped the spin. So this might be a very easy. That's a good 5-wood spin. That'll be an interesting one. Still not as much ball speed. So that's launched. Flight's good, but you're 3 to 4 miles an hour down on ball speed. So the other head's just giving you better contact, better efficiency. Yeah, it's got your 200 carry, but it's still 10 yards down on the other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, LS is
Well, that was easy.
noticeably better. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how it's not a head that's, yeah, it either works very well, it can take a bit too much spin off, but for you that combination of getting that launch angle, allowing us to take the loft up a little bit, but really holding the spin from flaring. I think as long as it's in the flatter lie setting, it's not going to look too closed.
Yeah.
But the ball speed with that combo straight away jumped up. And so whilst it still swings just that little bit lighter than the original, your PXG Fairway Wood, it's a very, very solid club, but it's just losing you that degree of launch angle, which, because the spin then stays just as efficient, you're not losing out on distance or strength of flight with the higher launch. So yeah, allows us to get the loft up a little bit without losing power of flight.
Brilliant.
Good result.
Yeah, that's probably more than I expected.
With the ball speed gain that there was potential for, that to me always looked like it was there. I'd still, it'd still be nice to see, potentially slightly more ball speed efficiency. I think there's, possibly the best hit, there's still a couple of more yards out there.
Yeah.
But the fact that, we've seen club head speed progression from where we started, so we've seen 2 or 3 miles an hour on from the first batch of hits. But it's still got us from 142 and 143 to 145.
Yeah.
So we're still picking up a couple of miles an hour proportionally, but the flight's so efficient. That's the bit that you kind of hope those sort of combination numbers were doable, but that's picked up a lot just through flight efficiency. So very good. Lovely.
Enjoyed that a lot. Thank you very much.
So yeah, great example of how actually really minor fine tunes. If you actually made a really noticeable change in pitch of flight and efficiency. So from one generation of Ventus to the next generation, where we know there are really subtle differences in setup, but the subtle differences are in the right direction. And then the PXG head, which actually, I mean, this is a club overall, it's still a very good club. It's giving you great numbers, but the LS version of the 430 head allows us to get the launch angle up a little bit without sacrificing spin consistency and strength.
And I noticed, I swung the new Velocore that little bit more consistently.
Yeah.
The strike was more consistent. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, it's what I felt testing it originally was it just felt that a little bit cleaner I say clean, it is easier to get through the ball. I think the original model Ventus swings just that little bit heavier in the tip end. Balance-wise, it promotes a slightly heavier swing weight, so it promotes somebody hitting down a little bit more. Whereas actually this one lets you collect it and clip it away a little bit more easily.
Yeah, it's hard to describe the way shafts feel, but it doesn't feel overly stiff, but it feels stable. I swing quite a bit from the top, and it felt like it stayed with me, and I wasn't going to lose it left. Yeah, it's really good.
As you say, we're at different languages for feel, but like you, I think there's a little bit of life through that midsection, but that Velocore material really clings on through the ball. So, a combination of that and the head just allows the spin to be in such a stable place that you can take that launch angle up a bit more. So, thanks as always, great fun having geeky tech talk with Dan.
This time next year.
Well, next project will be get the driver over 250, carry. Thanks for joining us. I hope you liked the video. We've got plenty more coming, so if you liked it, subscribe, hit the like button, and we look forward to bringing you more content down the line.